This is day 107, and today we are looking at editing a recorded macro. So on day 90, we looked at how to record a macro, and we recorded this macro, which basically just highlights certain cells in yellow in here, and I think other cells were in green. So if I say run macro, it quickly highlights some cells in green and some cells in yellow. So this is a macro we recorded. However, the challenge that I explained when I recorded the macro is that as I am recording the cells here, I'm recording based on static values. So suppose I'm intending to record all the bottom numbers in yellow and top numbers in green. If my data changes and now this one becomes part of the top numbers and I run this macro, it's not dynamic. It's going to highlight exactly the same numbers that I had highlighted previously. And it's not going to sniff and see that actually these ones are the new high numbers. It's going to pick again still the same cells, even maybe they are in the low range as well. And also the low numbers is the same. It's not dynamic. So to make this dynamic, you need to be able to record a macro, and after you record it, you edit it to make it a bit more dynamic. So today we are going to see, we are not going to convert this macro to a dynamic macro, but however, what I'm going to show you is how you can edit a macro so that in future, I can then show you how to then, through that editing of a recorded macro, you can achieve converting a static macro to a dynamic macro. Okay, to edit a macro, as I showed you yesterday and day before yesterday, you click out F11 or you go to your developer tab and Visual Basic. Then under here, you check where your macro is. By default, if you don't have any other module, then your macro will go to module 1, okay, when you record. So you can see the steps I followed recording a macro in on day 90. There were very few steps, but you can see the lines, massive lines of code that were added. So from sub macro 1 up to end sub, this is where it ends. So to just quickly show you what it's doing is, it's saying the first thing that happens is you select range B2 up to range E21. So here dot select. So it specifies first the range, then it tells you, okay, with this range, what do we want to do? We want to select it. So I'm going to just quickly show you how you can also edit this range. Let me just minimize this window. Sorry, not this one, this main window here. So let's run the macro step by step. To run the macro step by step, you make use of F8. So I'll press my F8. You can see here, that's where I am with my macro. So as I step through my macro, now when I step over this part, you'll see it will highlight range B2 to E21. You see, it has highlighted the range. But already I have a problem. Let me just stop it. Already I have a problem. If I add an extra student at the bottom here, let me remove my borders so that my report doesn't look ugly. So if I have an extra student at the bottom here, it's not going to pick that up. Let me just add an extra student, okay? And mark for an extra student exactly the same as the previous one. All right, cool. Let me just bring back my macro window. Then let me step through. You'll see it will highlight everything except for the last student. You see, it's highlighting, because I'm telling it, highlight B2 to B21. This is not dynamic. It's a static macro. I have recorded it. I have recorded doing that. So the benefit I got from recording is that I don't have to know this whole code to say if I want to select a range, I start with range, then I specify the cells, then I say dot select. No, I don't have to memorize it because the recording have done that for me. Now what I want to do is now to say, okay, I want to select this whole new range now. I want to convert it now into a much more dynamic one. So let me just put a line of code here. I'm going to show you. Now I'm editing a recorded macro. So all these diagonal, what, I don't have to know them. But the moment I select my range correctly here, all these formatting are going to be done correctly. So let's do this. So I would say range, let me just copy this. Let me copy as it is and comment out this part. Okay. So that if I need it, I can come back and get it. So I'm just going to select one cell. All right, let's see what it does. It should select this one cell. Okay, cool. So you can see it's selecting this one cell. Then the next thing I can do is I can make use of current region. So what current region does is it senses the current region that has data. Okay. So before I say select, let me just say dot current region dot select. Okay, let's see. Let me start again. Okay, select B2 dot current region. Okay, so it selects everything. Now I've made it a bit more dynamic, but I have a problem because I only want to select from here up to here. Okay, let me go back. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize my selection and offset it. Let's selection. Now you can see selection also. They use selection. Then if you want to now want to reference to the selection you have here, you just use the word selection. Okay, dot. Okay, let's see what happens. There we go. So now we have selected this range, but there is just a bit of a problem because it's extra one row or extra one column. I just want to resize. All right, so here what I then do is I offset the rows. Let me just run the code now. So I selected the current region, so I can offset it one column, one row down and one column to the right so that it moves to start here, because now when I select it, selecting from here up to there. I want to just select from here up to here. So I would move it to one row down and one row to the right. Okay, so let me do that. Then you can see, oh sorry, I need to restart my macro. Okay, then it moves one row to the right, one row down. Then the problem which I have is it's now selecting an extra column and an extra row. So I need to resize. To resize this, I count how many columns I'm selecting and I just remove one. And how many rows am I selecting and I just remove one. That's where I do selection.resize is a command to resize my current selection. Okay, here I say, what do I need to resize it to? I want to resize it. I have to specify the number of columns. So selection.rows.count. So I'm counting the rows in my selection and deducting one because I want it to be one row shorter, and selection.columns.count minus one because I want it to be one column shorter. Then I select that. There you go. You can see I have made it one column shorter and one row shorter. Then I can start working with my active region. So if I add another student here, okay, let's now run the macro again. Let's stop it and let's run it. Okay, now you can see it's selecting everyone and it's going to resize and it gets back to select the correct range. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications button. There is more that will come on this topic, and also refer to my detailed Excel automation playlist, and you will be able to see macros there.